Hey everyone, welcome to the Soul on Fire show. I am super excited to be here because today is Wednesday, and on Wednesday we get to teach and tap you into your zone of genius and break you through all of those upper limits. Thank you for being here on the live. Thank you for being here on the replay. My name is Noelle Agape. I am a quantum energy trainer. I'm a shaman. I'm a licensed counselor and an NLP trainer, and we work with the mind-body soul connection with your mental body, your emotional body, your physical body, and your energetic body to get you to your zone of genius. Thank you for being here today, guys. We are going deep into the quantum fields today because we're going to understand transcending realities and understand how to actually make a quantum leap in your life, change your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit to actually who you want to be and live the life of your dreams. I'm super excited for this topic today. If you're interested in understanding how to manipulate timelines and move through time and space and actually create your dream life, then stay till the end because I promise you guys today's show is going to be mind blown. So there are many stages of manifestation, and what I want to say all the time is that it's such a big thing now that everybody is talking about manifestation and how to manifest the life of your dreams and the law of attraction. What I actually work with is the law of assumption, which is Christ consciousness, and working into the mind body and the spiritual body and the energetic body and the emotional body, and understanding all four bodies and working through and navigating those to actually manifest the life of your dreams, because you are manifesting all day, every day. I speak about this all the time on our channel, but what your manifestations actually are is you are 1% matter and 99% wave, meaning that you are actually a spiritual being having a human experience, not a human being trying to achieve spirituality and move through higher realms of spirituality. You're actually a spirit coming into human form. And so today we're going to talk super spiritual. We're going to talk a lot of science, and we're going to go into how it actually works, the mechanics and the blueprints of actually understanding what it takes to move into a different reality, because this is my pocket, right? I love transcending realities. I love quantum jumping. I love quantum leaping. I love understanding that there's always a different version of you that is expanding through time and space, right? And everything that we've ever learned in this human form is actually backwards. And so most people, what they do is they set a goal, and they motivate, and they move, and what we actually have to do is start in the quantum, and we have to start in the end, and we have to start at your spiritual body and then go down to your physical body. Most people start in their physical body and see their 3D reality and want to change and transcend their reality. But what you actually have to do is, because you are 99% energy, as you know, you have to actually start in the spiritual realm and come down into the physical realm. And so I'm going to teach you how to do that today. So stay tuned, guys, for this show. It's a really great show today because today's kind of really fun, but it's very informational. And the other thing it is it's a blueprint to show you how to do this, right? And so what a lot of people do is they talk about manifestation, and then they say, okay, what you have to do is you have to, be it, see it, believe it, and understand it. Yes, that is. But there's actually a process of manifestation, and the process is just of nature, right? And so if you understand, me going through my shaman journey, I've learned so much of the old teachings of the all of the masters that have been here on our earth. Everyone that knows me knows that it's God in me, through me, and working with the Christ consciousness and understanding that what Christ was teaching us on that journey, of the power within us. And when we understand that everything is inside of us, not outside of us, and that's the first step on the manifestation process and of the law of assumption, is understanding that there is nothing, not one thing external that is happening in your external world that is not something going on inside of you. So you could be knocking it out of the park in one area of your life, and the other area of your life, it could be in contracted energy because your soul has agreements in that area of your life that you need to expand. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about science. I'm going to talk about a little bit about spirituality, talk a lot about quantum, and a lot about transcending realities, because that's what we do on this channel. So welcome to the Soul on Fire show, guys. Super excited to have you here. So let's dive right in, right? What actually is manifestation? Manifestation is a delayed response of your thoughts, your patterns, your beliefs, and then it turns into a reality. And so what you're actually seeing in your 3D reality is it's not happening. It's in the past, present, and the future, all exists all in this now moment. I'm going to explain that in just a little bit. I'm going to explain timelines and moving through timelines and understanding how to move through timelines. my favorite thing on the shamanistic journey, this is my favorite thing, is truly just moving timelines, teleportation, and moving into into the quantum fields, and knowing that there's different versions of me, feeling into different energies, because I feel my way through life. I feel, hear, and see everything before it happens. And so what I do often is, I fall from grace because we still are human, but I love to play in the quantum fields. And when you come at your manifestations from a very curious space as opposed to a wanting space, so wanting is always a lack frequency, right? And so I'm going to talk about understanding frequency and timelines really, really in depth in this show, because what most don't understand and most don't teach is the depths of the quantum, and how it actually works, and the science behind it. And that's what we're going to talk about. So your manifestation is really what you are, not, and that, I think that that's pretty prevalent now in today's manifestation community, is that you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. But everyone asks me, Noelle, how do I become what I want? And so the blueprint is, you have a desire, and that desire is put on your heart because it's God in you, through you, and it's trying to come through you. That desire is trying to come through you. When you understand that, it's a different mentality than you're reaching out to get something, right? You're actually working with your internal fields, and you're working from the 7 stages of consciousness. You're working at step 7, which is the I am presence, right? You're working with your I am presence to have that experience come through you, so you can experience it as a spirit in a human body. I'm going to say that again. You're working with your I am presence to tap into that energy, to experience it in your physical form, right? So knowing and understanding that, everything is particles and waves. And when you move into the wave particle, and you release, a lower level of beta brain waves, and you go into the higher brain waves of frequencies, then you understand that you can actually relax, and you can move beyond the ego into consciousness. And Dr. Joe Dispenza says this all the time, is the brain is the communication of your thought, and the mind is your communication of your thought, and your body is your communication of your emotions, which is your nervous system, and in your physical body, which is energy in motion, all of it. Your brain is a computer, your body is a machine, but there's so much more beyond that. And it's the emotional body and the energetic body that really actually come first, that most people don't teach. And this is what I want to say today, guys, is that most people don't understand that you're starting at your I am presence, and then you're coming into this physical world to experience it. And so you're working with your I am presence at the highest level of consciousness to bring that through you. And in the physical form, that's where we have the limiting beliefs, and that's where we have the blocked nervous system. And my beautiful coach said to me this week, she said, Noelle, that trauma is any resistance is a trauma response in the body. And so I'm going to start at the energetic bodies, and then I'm going to come down. And so how a manifestation starts, it's in your I am presence, and it starts as an idea. And when you get that idea in your head, that's when it starts instantly to manifest, right? The desire that you have in your head then goes to your heart, and how you feel in your heart is actually going to determine what happens with the manifestation process, because there's a desire, then there's a time lapse, and then there's a transition period from ego to consciousness, and then there's actually manifestation from consciousness. Now, can you manifest from ego? Yes, people manifest from ego all day, every day. And as a matter of fact, I would say 90% of the world is not consciously manifesting. They're manifesting from ego and want and lack, and not from a space of I am presence, of a higher space, right? So if you think in the quantum fields that everything is already created, meaning that now is the only thing that you can work with. The past you can't work with, and the present you can't work with, because the past, present, and future already exists. And the timelines that you're working on in the quantum fields, and to move a different reality, this is so big to understand, is that you actually have to move. A frequency is a timeline, but a timeline is complete. Everything in creation's already done. You're not creating the trees. You're not creating the beaches. You're not having the sun rise. God, source, the universe, whatever you believe it to be, higher power, whatever it may be, has already created everything. You're just actually tapping into experiencing those energies into it. Now, on your timeline that you're in already is your belief system. It's your thoughts, your patterns, your beliefs, and then it becomes your reality. And so anything that is in your external world is showing you exactly a blueprint of your internal world. So if you're operating and manifesting from ego and fear, that's what's going to show up in your life. Lack, scarcity, ego, fear, whatever it may be. But if you're manifesting on the creative field, not the competitive field, and you're manifesting through consciousness, then it comes completely different, right? So the desires on your heart, the thought becomes in your mind, the desire goes on your heart. Then here's where it starts. This is where the process starts. The second that it's a desire on your heart, it is your I am presence asking you to experience that with you at a higher level of consciousness, not at your ego, right? It's not, oh, hey, I want to go get my Lamborghini so I can look super cool. It is a soul-centered desire. When you have soul-centered desires, it's super different than having ego-centered desires, because your soul-centered desires are, I want to be happily and blissfully married because I want to change the lives of millions and raise the vibration of the planet to love and above, and allow people to understand what love actually is at a higher frequency and a higher consciousness, not from ego because I'm lonely and whatever it may be, right? And so whatever you're trying to manifest. So you have the desire, right? Which you have to understand that desire is your I am presence trying to experience that through you. It's such a beautiful thing when you understand that. It's not you trying to get something from the outside world. Nothing, not one thing is external from you. Not one thing. So if you're seeing the opposite of your manifestation, stay in the second segment, because we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what happens in the opposite. We're going to actually talk about going through your manifestation and what your consciousness is going through and your ego is going through when you change your identity. And so stay with that and stay with me on this, because it's a lot. Today's show is a lot. So you have the desire and it comes through as consciousness. From that space, it's already done. It's like, okay, you've asked and it is given. The Bible says that to you. From this space is where the time lapse and the transition is where your ego is battling your consciousness, meaning you're moving from your wounded child to your wounded teenager to your higher spiritual mature self. I have a bunch of shows. I'll link those below on spiritual maturity and understanding that. But when you're looking at it from, I'm creating from the creators coming through me and creating this experience so I can experience this in the 3D. I want it from the greatest and highest good. I don't want it from my ego. It's a very different frequency. Now, whatever the frequency that you have the desire from, there's a heightened sense of thought and a heightened sense of emotion that's behind that. And that's the charge in the manifestation, right? Again, the energetic fields, the electromagnetic fields is the electros of thought, the heightened sense of thought. The magnetic is the heightened sense of emotion. So whatever emotion and thought you have around that is your dominant frequency and your dominant vibration, that's what you're going to be. And that's how fast you can move through the timeline and through the transition period. Now, in the timeline and the time lapse and the transition period, often what happens is this is where our ego kicks in, because this is the identity that you have to completely let go of. So say you manifested something from fear because you need money for something, or you want a relationship, or, most of the time it's working with health, working with relationships, working with money. Those are the biggest things that I work with my clients on. But it's understanding and knowing that, you have to move through these stages. The final stage before you get to your manifestation is detachment. And we'll get to that as well in the second segment. Yet when you're in the time lapse, you could have instant manifestations. I mean, have you ever thought of something and then your friend called you and said, hey, let's go do that, right? That's an instant manifestation where you don't have resistance to it. But when you have resistance to it, that's when you have to go through the transition period. So the transition period is really 100% in the quantum fields. It's moving from wave to particle. And the only resistance is the trauma response within inside of you, whether that's fear, anger, hurt, sadness, guilt, or shame, the lower frequencies. And I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not safe, secure, and protected right now, I'm not whole and complete. Whatever your emotional body has stored as that belief system around that is what your transition is going to be. So your identity is created on a certain timeline that is already literally completely done already. So if you're thinking and creating from a fear-based place, or I'm not worthy vibration. That's the timeline that you're going to actually be on. Now, guys, hear this because this is tremendous. You cannot get rid of that timeline. You're not trying to change anything on that timeline because that timeline was created at a frequency of fear, anger, hurt, sadness, or guilt or shame. It was created at a lower frequency. What you actually have to do is to change your reality, is completely change your identity and become the energy at a higher frequency and a different timeline than what you are. So say you trying to, manifest a partner and this person's showing up in this way. And again, stay till the second segment because I'm going to talk about what happens in the opposite and how to navigate the middle. But I'm just going through the beginning processes of it. You have a desire and then you have a time lapse. The time lapse is your resistance, right? And then your identity and your and how you have your resistance moves you from the ego to the consciousness. Once you detach from all of that and you change your identity, that's when the actual desire shows up in your reality as a manifestation. So if you're manifesting things all day, every day that you're not liking, it's because you're on a timeline of a lower frequency. I'm going to say that again. If you're manifesting things in your life that you do not like, it's because you're on a timeline. Everything has already existed. Timelines are already created. That timeline is already created. You're trying to change that timeline. That's not the correct way to manifest. That's manipulation, not manifestation, right? So when you're trying to work really hard and you're grinding and you're doing all of these things, that's not allowing spirit to flow through you and experience life in a higher frequency or a lower frequency. Now, God will never come down to your ego. Spirit will never come down to your ego. So it's asking you to rise from that contracted energy, those lower frequencies, those lower timelines, to move into a higher frequency, a higher timeline, so you can actually feel into that experience at a greater and higher good, right? And so consciousness is always having you expand because we're in this human experience to expand. That's why we're here. Nature expands, right? I mean, an acorn becomes an oak tree and it doesn't stop and say, hey, oh, I don't know if I'm worthy enough to be at this oak tree. I don't think I could do it. Ooh, I'm halfway through. I don't think I can make it. I don't think I could push through and be an oak tree. It just, an acorn becomes an oak tree, right? The sun doesn't rise and then the moon come up and says, oh my God, I'm darkness. I can't, I'm not as good as light. I'm not as good as the sun because everybody loves the sun. Everybody loves the bright. I'm not as good. No, we're nature, right? And you have to understand that you are love, you are light, you are by your abundance by nature. And when the lower frequencies come in, they have to be there to show you where you are in the manifestation process. Are you in ego? Or are you in consciousness, right? And if things are showing up in your reality that you don't want, it's because your identity and your story and your belief system is attached to a different lower timeline, which is a lower frequency. And that timeline is already complete. That train has left the station big time. Like, you cannot get onto a timeline of fear and manifest love and light from that timeline. You actually have to jump into a different timeline, different frequency. You have to have the momentum and the dominant thoughts and the dominant beliefs and the dominant feelings of the frequency of consciousness in a higher timeline. You're not changing who you are on that timeline. You're changing your frequency and becoming a different person on a different timeline, literally a completely different version of you. It's so cool when you understand this, guys. You have a thought and that desire is on your heart because it's here to experience through consciousness, but the consciousness is allowing you through the physical form to expand in that moment in time. As soon as that thought is put into place, as soon as that desire is put into place, that is where expansion happens. When in nature you have winter, spring, summer, and fall, it is that there's periods in time where things are growing and then things are dying. The ego death feels like a death because it's an entire identity and timeline that you're letting go of to be a better version of you. But that version of you already exists. It's just consciousness asking you to transcend from a lower frequency, a lower timeline into a higher one. Beautiful stuff, guys. We got lots more. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about how to transcend your identity into a brand new identity when working with your ego, working with your neural net pathways, working with your belief system, working with your nervous system, and understanding now the lower frequencies of your mind and your body, because working with the matter aspect of it, not the consciousness aspect. Stay tuned, guys. We have so much more to come. We'll be right back. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show. I'm super excited to be here today because today we're talking about jumping realities and understanding that you have to become a completely different version of you to tap into your zone of genius to really break through those upper limits and showing you the blueprint of how to do it, of manifestation. It is a process of nature. This is Christ consciousness. This is every single one of the masters have used this exact process. You have to know and understand and believe it and see it and know it, that it's living in the end and it is done. And from the end is where you work back into your manifestation. So a soul-centered desired, not an ego-based desire, soul-centered desire. Then you have to work with your identity. And now we're going to talk about your identity and transforming your identity and being in the middle of your manifestation and what that actually looks like, and the process and the bridge of incidences, and understanding how close your manifestation is and what is going on in the back end scientifically with the energetic fields before they actually manifest into the physical field, right? So everything is you outpushed, meaning that there is nothing, not one thing in your external reality that you have manifested, not one thing that we have manifested as a collective consciousness also, that is not internal belief system. So when you understand that, you're getting in the game. When you get it, that you're not a victim, that you may have been victimized, but you are not a victim, because you can at any moment choose a different reality, a different timeline. At any moment, you could choose a higher frequency. You could choose a higher, all day, every day. So what does it take? It takes mental diet, meaning that your thoughts become patterns, your patterns become beliefs, and your beliefs become reality. You have to be hyper aware of what you're thinking. You have to navigate through and filter, literally filter. Your brain is just a filter. You are literally watching a movie of your life that is a delayed movie, because what you have manifested in the 3D is actually your old energy that you have. Your thoughts, your patterns, and your beliefs have had so much momentum that that's what you've created in your reality, right? So to move to a different timeline and a higher level of consciousness, what you have to do is you have to have a crazy strong mental diet. I'm telling you guys, this is one of the most important things. When you understand your self-concept and you understand your mental diet and you understand that you are worthy, you are loved, you are abundant, you are light, you are good enough, that is your birthright. This is, again, this is your birthright. This is consciousness experiencing life through you, not you experiencing life to achieve consciousness. That's all wrong. You are not experiencing life to achieve consciousness. It is consciousness experiencing life through you to achieve you. And this beautiful version of you. It's so incredible and so amazing when you understand that. When you understand that it's consciousness in you coming through you, not you becoming consciousness. You are consciousness already. You are your I am presence. You and your I am presence are working in tandem, co-creating together to do this together. Everything is already created, right? Everything's already created. You're just tapping into energies and becoming something different than you were on a completely different timeline. You're not looking at the old version of Noelle and saying, oh, Noelle, you're so stupid. Get up. Why are you not doing it? That's a version that's already created. And understanding and accepting that there's an infinite amount of possibilities. And that is a version of you that you've already created, probably unconsciously. So the first and foremost thing is to be conscious of your thoughts. super hyper conscious of your thoughts, then hyper conscious of your emotions. Now, does that mean that you have to stay in bubbles and unicorns all day, every day, and everybody's like, raise your frequency, raise your vibration? No, if anger comes in, use that as momentum and say, oh, I understand that anger and fear that's a timeline that exists. I'm going to feel that and allow it the space that it needs. I'm going to give it 5 minutes, but it's not going to dominate my thoughts. It's not going to dominate my emotions. I'm going to actually process that and move through it as quickly as possible, because I know on the timeline that I'm trying to get to, I'm moving into my dominant thoughts and my dominant frequencies and my dominant emotions, and my identity have to be completely different than the one that was on that timeline. But I understand that there's a timeline and a version of me that was in fear, that was in anger. I'm just not choosing that in my life anymore. So that's what free will is a choice between ego and consciousness, a choice between lower frequencies and higher frequencies. That's what also identity is, right? I choose to be someone different, but becoming someone different is not, oh, hey, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be someone different and that's it. Oh, awesome. Yes, if you don't have any resistance to that and there's no trauma or there's no belief system around that, then you like that, you can move. But what can happen often is you get in the middle of the transition. And so your ego doesn't want to transition to a different reality, to a different timeline, to a different frequency, because your ego understands and knows and is safe and has built your inner child had a wound, and then your inner teenager built an entire defense mechanism, an entire identity around that ego. Your defense mechanism was, whether it was being in victim, whether it was being in narcissism, whether it was being in a wound, whether it was running, whether it was being an avoidant, whether it was being anxious, whether it was being depressed, your ego has built a mask around that identity to keep you safe, because the unknown of the new timeline, the new frequency, the new identity has not been experienced by you yet. Right? So your ego, your monkey brain, I call it your reptilian brain, because I feel like that's where we are, right? In consciousness, especially with AI and everything, there's so much so much interference. AI is amazing and incredible. And if you look at AI and what we have created as humans, it is because it's consciousness coming through us, right? And you have to understand that there's alternate versions of everything. Everything exists already. You're choosing, and AI is going to blow out of the water and help humanity in so many ways. I'm telling you, because it's going to allow humans to not be in the stories that we were told, that we're locked into one reality. I'm not even kidding you when I say that there's an infinite field of possibilities that is already created. You're not going out and making a tree or making the sunrise. That's not your job. The how is not your job. The identity, changing the identity and becoming the end, living in your end, means that you're fully embodied in the energetic, the emotional, the physical thought, and every part of you is that person, is that timeline, is that identity. But your ego is going to say, no. We got to stay on this timeline and we got to stay on this lower frequency because we don't know about the unknown. So through that process, what is going to happen is you're going to create in your mind bridges of incidences to allow you. If I showed up with blonde hair and blue eyes tomorrow and my name was Tracy, you'd be like, is this a different show? Right? But a version of me exists that is different. And you have to understand that it's all a holographic form that you're projecting out to the universe based on your belief system. So whatever identity that you have decided consciously or unconsciously to adapt, that is the life that you're living right now. 100%. Your thoughts become patterns, your patterns become beliefs, your beliefs become your reality. What identity and story have you attached to your wound, your victimhood, whatever it may be? I'm in the process of manifesting massive different things in my life. And those that know me have watched the transition and they're like, oh my God, Noelle, how do you do this? Right. And so it is mind blowing this work. This work changes lives, guys. This work changes lives because it teaches you your power within you. There's nothing outside of you. You have to get an identity of who you are within you. If you don't know who you are, you don't know that you're the I am presence. You don't know that you're God in you, through you, and you still think you're worthy. That's what you're going to be vibrating at. That's what's the frequency that you're going to be on that timeline. You cannot get to the higher timelines from there. You just can't. It is completely opposite, but the greatest thing in the world. And here's a big thing. The opposites are, when you understand that there's a timeline of you that was at a lower frequency, there was a timeline of you that truly did create that reality, and you don't put importance to it. You don't attach any energy to that story anymore. What happens is there's a transition period. And through that transition period, your ego starts to say, oh, maybe I can do this, when it's little like baby steps. So birds before land is a big thing in the law of assumption community, where it's like you're navigating to see, you want to manifest a white car, and you start to see white cars, or you want to manifest a relationship and with a specific person, but you start to see those things with other people treating you with love and respect and honor, whatever it is. So whatever your self-concept is and your mental diet is, and whatever your emotional charge is behind that, is what you're going to manifest. And once you start to change that, your identity at first will kick in and say, no, I like this identity, and things will fall apart in your life, right? The opposite usually happens right before your manifestation. And when you understand that the opposite happens right before your desired, because it's your ego moving into consciousness, it's truly like an ego death. Understand that it's truly like an ego death. Now, I literally say to me and God every night, okay, God, that version of me is going to die from today. Every single day I die to the old version of myself, so a new version of myself can step in, because you have to create space physically, mentally, emotionally, and energetically. Create space, right? And so knowing and understanding that you have to walk through this, the first thing is you have to have a desire. And if it's based in consciousness, not ego, then it's going to happen way faster. And the second thing is that you have to look at your identity, and you have to look and see, and you have to become and know and understand that you're becoming something different. And then in that process of transformation between ego and consciousness, you stop and you pause, and you start to see the signs and synchronicities as you're getting closer, as your energy and your momentum are in your fields. You start to get those signs. Then usually what happens is that the opposite shows up in your life, meaning that, it could be the complete opposite. Say you're trying to manifest money, trying to manifest $100,000 in your bank. Something happens where you lose a lot of money, or you get sick and a bill comes, or something like that. It's because it's the final purge of your subconscious mind saying, this is no longer my identity. It's an ego death, and you're purging that old version of you out. Literally. So everything of every fear, every anger, every hurt, every sadness, all the guilt and shame, all of the I'm not worthy stuff, that will come up one last time before you actually move into consciousness. Because one, it is the universe saying, okay, are you ready for this? Are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure this is what you want? And then as soon as you see the opposite, and and you don't have a reaction to the opposite, because it's the old timeline fading away and your ego death fading away, and you don't have a response, emotionally charged response to it, that's when you move into it, and you can see it and know it and see it. And so what I say all the time is you have to kind of play the game of duality, guys. You have to play the game of duality. You have to understand that consciousness is creating you're on a different timeline with consciousness. Your energy, your mind, your mental diet, your energy, your thoughts, all are on in the end. Whatever your end may be of your manifestation, not your end of I'm 99 and sitting on my deathbed saying, oh, I'm so grateful. Your end of your manifestation. And then it starts all over again. The process starts all over again. You live in your end in consciousness with your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. But you have to understand that you're still on this other timeline. So Would you not pay your rent if you were moving to a new house and you didn't have the new house in the physical realm? You would just literally, in my mind, I'm moving to a new house and I feel it and I know it and I see it and I believe it and I'm there, but you're still in the middle. You still have to live in the 3D reality. So you have to do the duality game. Playing the duality game is huge. Understanding and knowing duality, understanding how to use the 3D reality to your advantage because it's showing you and guiding you what timeline and frequency you're on. Oh, that's what I created, but that's not the one I'm choosing anymore. I'm choosing this timeline. I'm choosing this frequency that is from consciousness, not from ego, but I still have to play in reality until my ego and consciousness have merged, right? So you have to understand that it's a duality game, right? You have to look at it and say, oh, I see that I'm trying to move and I know I'm trying to move and my house hasn't shown up and the money for my house hasn't shown up. But what do I do? Do I look for an apartment? Yeah, you have to actually be in the 3D reality. You have to take action in the 3D reality as long as it's inspired action towards your end, towards your manifestation. Everything that you want should be going towards your manifestation, towards becoming a different identity of that person until it is fully embodied mentally, physically, emotionally, and energetically in all four bodies. That is the dominant vibration. You have to still live in the duality of the 3D. But do you have to live in the reality of the 3D that you don't want to be living in fear, in hurt, in lack, in shame, in scarcity? No. Right? You look at it and you say, I understand that I'm still in this version and I'm frustrated. I'm going to feel that frustration and I'm going to transcend it to a higher frequency and stay in my end as much as I possibly can. I'm not going to get affected. I'm not going to wobble. I know where I'm going, but I have right here my mental diet, my emotional diet. I'm going to keep over here, but I still have to live here. Making sense, guys? So how do you transcend your identity? You constantly have to be on top of your mental game, your emotional game. You have to manage your emotions. You have to live in spiritual maturity. You have to choose consciousness over and over and over and over again, all day, every day. You have to have radical responsibility for your actions. You have to have radical responsibility for your emotions. You cannot affect how other people are acting except for the fact that you have to accept that it is a version of you with inside of you. Something inside of you is trying to expand and you are not letting it. If the opposite shows up, it is that simple. Trauma is resistance. Trauma response is resistance. And when you know and understand that you can actually manage your resistance, because you have to. We all have resistance. We're in human form, in matter, right? It's super easy to, and this is what I teach. You can go out into the quantum fields and you can go on magic carpet rides and it's super fun and playful and amazing and incredible. And your imagination changes lives and it changes humanity, and go and play out there as much as possible. But you actually have to live in the 3D world too. And you have to make conscious choices in this 3D world to move from this timeline to this timeline as often as possible, right? So how do you do that? Stay tuned. We're going to tell you in just a minute. We're going to give you key takeaways of actually how to do that. What I do on a daily basis to get there all day, every day. I've manifested everything I've ever wanted in my entire life. When I need support, I stop and I need support. I just hired on a new coach because there were things in my life that I needed. I've expanded in business. I've expanded in health. I've expanded in every area of my life, but there's one area of my life, love and relationships. And so I finally hired on a beautiful somatic coach that is helping me through a journey. So I am the student and the teacher in one breath. Humble enough to know that where I need support, but confident enough to know where I can teach this stuff. This work changes lives, guys, period. When you understand you are Christ consciousness and you are your I am presence, it will change your life. Stay tuned. I'm going to show you what I do every single day to manifest the life of my dreams. I will be right back, guys. Stay tuned. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show. Today, we are talking about duality and transcending realities and making yourself understand that you get to be in one reality and actually how to transform into a completely different timeline, reality, and frequency. It's so amazing and so beautiful. And I do this all the time. So, what I want you to do is understand that this is a process. This is manifestation is a process. Anything else is manipulation. Manipulation is your ego. Manipulation is working in the competitive frame. Consciousness is working in the creative plane. You're co-creating with God's source universe, with energies that are already created, right? Everything that has ever been in existence is already created. You're just tapping into a different timeline, a different identity, a different thought, a different pattern, and a different belief. So what do I do to make this happen? I have specific processes and tools and takeaways that you do. Go to noelleagape.com if you want to. I will put that in right here. There's tons of free things in noelleagape.com if you want to go there, because I have a quantum immersion class, which teaches you how to actually work into the quantum fields. We have practitioners that can work with you on manifesting your desires and your everything that you want. So how do I do it? I wake up. I set my alarm an hour earlier than when I have to wake up. So I'm up pretty early in the mornings, usually, about 5. Sometimes I'm up at 4, but I'm up super early. I meditate for an entire hour. And what I do in that meditation is it's intended meditations. It's me and God and me and consciousness. And there's no disturbing me during this time. I promise you guys, not one thing disturbs me during this time. My daughter's, she's on club soccer and we have some really early mornings. It doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. I'm still doing this exact process, right? I mean, if I'm leaving at my house at 5 a.m, I'm doing this process at 3 a.m. If I'm leaving so I am dedicated to my life because I know how to consciously manifest. If I have something, an appointment at 7, I'm doing this at 5, right? If I have something at 8, I really love the early morning hours because it's so still and peaceful, but you do this to however it fits for you. I meditate for an hour. I teach meditation. I teach breath work. I teach all of these things because so for me, I'm going to go a little bit deeper than you guys. I would start with 10 minutes and then go to 20, but you want to get your brain out of the state. The best time to manifest anything is early in the morning and right before you go to bed, because that's priming your brain and your subconscious and your body. So I meditate for an entire hour. I set my entire intention for the day. Now, every single day, I have an intention for my day. I am so infinitely grateful that today I have filmed a beautiful show and I changed massive lives through my show, or whatever it is, right? Today, I am so infinitely grateful that 6 people signed up for Costa Rica. Whatever it is that I need in my business, in my personal life, in whatever it is that me and God have to work on in that day, it's like a conversation with myself, my highest self, and God. And I write that down and I meditate on that. And I'm like, okay. And then I go into the end of it as if it's already happened. And I'm like, I'm so grateful. I mean, for me, I'm literally like, I'm so grateful. Costa Rica is so beautiful. And we're working some things out, some big things, huge things that are going to change massive lives if you want to come to Costa Rica, guys, because my coach and I are working out to see if she can come as well, change massive, massive lives there. So I'll sit there and I'll be in my end and I'll feel it and I'll know it and I'll experience it in the energetic fields first, whatever it is that I'm intending my day for. And I'll experience that whole day and I'll feel it and I'll love it. I'll live in gratitude for it. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Moving into that, I wake up and then I do breath work, and I do a round of breath work, probably for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then from the breath work, I wake up and I journal everything that came in my meditation, everything that came in through my breath work. I talk to spirit. I go throughout my day as if my manifestation were already already done. Right. I get up out of from breath work and doing my journaling. Then I go do my gratitude walk and I literally fill my soul with gratitude. I before I even get out of bed, I say, I'm so grateful for my bed. I'm so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful for my relationships. I'm so grateful for my clients. I'm so grateful for my kids, for my home, for my business, like a rant. Right. Then I actually brush my teeth. I wash my face. I'm still in gratitude. As I'm doing that, I go into my daughter's bedroom who's at college, and I'm like, I'm so grateful for my baby girl. I love her so much. I send her love and light through gratitude. And then, my other daughter splits time with her dad and I. And so if she's here, then I just go to her door. I don't disturb her. I go to her door and I send gratitude and love to her. If she's not here, I go into her room and send so much gratitude and love to her. I go into my office, and then I literally have so much gratitude for all the lives that I'm changing with my business. And I use my money towards purpose. I use my intention towards purpose and soul-driven things. I'm living in gratitude. My vibration's super high by this time. I go downstairs. Before I even have a cup of coffee, I have done all of this. Then I start my day. Right. And my day is always usually pretty scheduled. So I start my day and I go through my day. And there are times where I have to fall from grace, and I have to pivot, and I have to stop, and I have to do, go into my office or go in and need it, to take a nap. And I'm like, okay, I got angry over this situation. What happened? I go in and I do breath work. I go in and do meditation. I find out what it was teaching me, why I was on this. Where's my resistance? Where's my trauma response? I go into that. From there, I'm like, okay, I'm going to reframe. I'm going to get back into alignment, and I'm going to restart. I don't get on a call. I don't do anything if I'm not in alignment. I just don't push through things. I allow things to come through me. And when I'm at a higher frequency, even if I only have 30 seconds before another call, I do breath work. I do, my mental diet, my emotional diet, make sure I'm eating healthy throughout the day. I'm eating healthy. I'm eating clean. I'm connecting to my body and my mind. I'm moving. I'm exercising. I'm getting my mind and my body and my soul in alignment, right? So my day is pre-framed. I'm already in the vibration of it. Then in the physical form, I'm doing some sort of energetic physical work, whether it's to get the oxytocin, the dopamine, the serotonin from my physical body. Most of the time it's yoga or bar for me, but you do whatever you want to do. Go for a run, do something. You have to move your physical body. You have to move your physical body because it's storing energy, and you have to get that energy out of you. From that space at the end of the day, I literally manage my entire day, and I say, okay, what did my day look like? Where did I fall from grace? Where did I knock it out of the park energetically? Where was I already in my end? And how much closer today did I get to my end than I did the other day? Not even, a lot of people talk about their wins, and that's fantastic. I think that's great if you need that. What I do is, what frequency what did I maintain for the dominant part of my day? Was my frequency in anxiety? Was my frequency in fear the dominant part of my day? Or was my frequency, and was I as in that timeline in consciousness as much as I possibly could all day, every day? Where was I not? What happened when I wasn't? What triggered me? What can I work on, and how do I work in my neural net pathways and my nervous system to not be in that space tomorrow? Right? Then I journal again. I journal everything again. And then from that space, I say, okay, that is amazing. This is wonderful. We're this much closer. I fill my soul with gratitude again. Thank you, God, for this beautiful day. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I love it. I mean, an hour before I go to bed. I mean, this is every single day of my life, guys. I'm not kidding you when I tell you consciousness is it's a choice. It is a pattern. It is a belief. It is a commitment. It is a dedication all day, every day to consciousness. Where do I need to apologize? Where do I need to accept accountability? What showed up in my reality today that I have to actually take accountability for? What can I change tomorrow? How can I be different tomorrow? How could I be at a higher frequency more often and be in the dominant part of my end, and to manipulate my mind and my body, my soul, my spirit more towards consciousness than towards ego? All day, every day. Does this sound like a lot? Yeah. Is it a commitment and a dedication to the life of my dreams? This is how I've gotten here, guys. Now, I've been doing this for 25 years. I will tell you this. I used to have anxiety, crazy anxiety. I will say that I used to go off the charts, like with worry and everything. I used to be on medication. I have not taken a pill in 20 years. This work has changed my life and changed the lives of every single person I've ever worked with. Right? And it is a mental diet. It is an emotional diet. It is a spiritual diet. It is choosing consciousness all day, every day. It is choosing my higher power to come through me all day. It is understanding and knowing that when the bridge of the bridge of events happen, and signs and synchronicities happen, it's because it's showing me I'm that much closer to my manifestation. So put more energy into that because it's momentum. Your heightened sense of thought and your heightened sense of emotion is your electromagnetic fields. And that's what you are manifesting all day, every day. This has to be a game that you're playing with duality, right? You can't just float into meditation and sit and say, I'm going to sit here and do nothing at all. You actually have to take action into this 3D reality. And this is the actions that I take every single day. The final piece of all of it is I detach every single day. Before I go to sleep, I go into my end. I feel it. I know it. I see it. If it hasn't manifested in my 3D reality yet, I am so grateful for it. I'm already in that space before I go to sleep. Then I detach. And I say, okay, God, this is what I can handle and this is what I can't. This is what I don't worry about the how. I don't worry about the when. I just know it is done. And I completed it with the what and the why. What do I want? And why do I want it? I feel it. I know it. I see it. I've become that identity of it. And then I release, go to sleep with prayer and gratitude. I start my day with gratitude. I end my day with gratitude. It is preset in my mind, in my body, in my soul, in my spirit, in my mental body, my physical body, my emotional body, and my energetic body. All 4 of my bodies are in alignment with my end from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And it is when it's not, I course correct over and over and over again until I have to be at a higher frequency. This does not just happen and fall into your life. Spiritual maturity and consciousness is a conscious choice to know and understand you are the I am presence coming through you to experience this life with God, source of the universe, your higher power, not I'm creating something outside of me. There is nothing outside of you, not one thing. All of the power is within you. You have to have a daily routine because that thoughts become patterns, patterns become beliefs, beliefs become reality, or you can manifest unconsciously. How is that working out for you? You choose to manifest consciously or you choose to manifest unconsciously. That's it. You choose to be in fear and ego or you choose to be in love and higher frequencies. That's it. That is the blueprint over and over and over again. I choose consciousness. I choose love. I choose forgiveness. I choose gratitude. I choose literally when I have a situation that has like rocked my world, I stop and I find the darkness and go in and instead of living and breathing and knowing in the darkness, I say, darkness is part of the process. The opposite is part of the process. Thank you for showing me where my frequency is and what timeline I'm on. I'm not choosing that timeline anymore. I'm choosing this timeline over and over and over again until it becomes my dominant thought, my dominant belief, and my dominant pattern. And then it becomes my reality. It is so beautiful to understand and know that there is magic and miracles inside of you. Guys, this work changes lives. When you know and understand your I am presence and you live from consciousness and you create consciously, your life becomes magical. If you want to know more, go to noelleagape.com because we have so much there. Our entire journey on noelleagape.com is to truly change the lives of millions because we want you to know and understand that everything is inside of you. There is not one thing that is external, not one thing. God's source universe lives in you. You are love. You are abundance. You are wealth. You are everything that you've ever desired is inside of you. God in you, through you, trying to experience life with you. This is dancing with the universe. Now, do you fall from grace? Yes, of course you fall from grace. Will your manifestation appear instantly? Probably not. The process is understanding and knowing and detaching from the how. It is not your responsibility. The universe loves you. God loves you. Source loves you. Just know and believe it. And believe it as it is done, and it is done. Go through the process of it, because manifestation is a process. Manipulation is not. And go to noelleagape.com. If you want to join us in Costa Rica, guys, we have 4 spots left in Costa Rica. It's going to be mind-blowing. We're whitewater rafting to waterfalls. We're cliff jumping. We're going, we're ATVing to waterfalls. We're cliff jumping, and we're going whitewater rafting. We're going to do deep soul work. We're going to do deep mind, body, soul work. We're trying to work it out where my relationship coach is Lauren Zoller is coming, and she's amazing. She works with the somatic nervous system. If you want to join us, guys, we have practitioners that do this all day, every day, that are certified under me. We have programs running. We have group programs starting in April, and we have one-on-ones. We have multiple free masterclasses at noelleagape.com. This work changes lives. The only thing I can ever tell you guys is that when you say yes to you, and when you say yes to a soul-centered intention and purpose, your life changes forever. How do you work with duality? It's very, very simple. You understand and know that everything is created already, and you are on a timeline, and that timeline was created by a version of you that had an identity. And you have to actually look at that and know it and understand it, but that your manifestation from today is your energy of yesterday. Your past, your present, and your future is created right now in this moment in time. And if you're not present in this moment in time, your manifestation doesn't exist, because everything exists in the now, everything. So become present, grounded in your now, and know and understand that you're on a timeline that you don't desire to be on, but you have to do the work and the process to become from ego to consciousness, and know and understand that working with the duality is such a beautiful gift, because it's God in you, through you, experiencing it. And if you're experiencing things on a lower timeline and a lower frequency, it's all a choice. Now, is it going to transmute overnight? Sometimes. But most of the time, you have to be okay with the journey of changing your identity from ego to consciousness. Most of the time, you have to know that you're expanding this energy that is contracted in you through a trauma response, through your mental body and your physical body. And your wounded child from 0 to 10, or your wounded teenager from 10 to 18, is a mask and a defense mechanism and a weapon against you becoming that reality, because it's a fearful of moving through. But that's just one timeline. Everything is already created. You can already tap into a version of you that exists that you never even imagined. And I promise you this, guys, when you surrender the how and when you surrender the when, it shows up 1,000 times better than you can ever possibly imagine. When you be it and know it and see it and feel it, it feels incredible and it feels amazing. But when you surrender to a higher power than you, and you know that there is something magical happening while you're in the 3D reality on a certain timeline of fear, anger, hurt, sadness, and you look at that and you know that that's just one timeline that you're not choosing anymore, and you're moving to a greater timeline, and you allow this process to literally transcend you, your life becomes magical. You are more powerful than you can ever imagine. There is everything inside of you and not one thing outside of you. Not one thing. Everything that is external showing up in your world is a direct reflection of what is going on in your internal world. You have to do the inner work. You have to do the inner work. You have to know that you are worthy. You have to know that you are loved. You have to know that you are abundant. Your mental diet, your emotional diet, your thoughts and your emotions create your reality. You have to know and understand that. You have to know and understand that you have a choice to be a better version of you. There's nothing outside of you, guys. Not one thing. You are not a victim. You are love. You are abundance. You are magnifying this beautiful projection of you. I love you guys. I believe in you. If you need support, again, go to noelleagape.com. We got tons of programs for you. Join us on this journey because it is a journey of enlightenment. Working with duality and working with your identity and working with ego and consciousness is an inside job. I promise you that. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.